Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're going to be making the best brownies ever. Now we're making a very easy black forest brownie, chocolate cherry brownie, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to start with a family size box of brownie mix, the one that says bake it in a 9x13 pan. You can use any brand you want to, or you can make your brownies from scratch. And I do have the video up, a very good scratch brownie recipe, and I'll link it in the end of this video. But a lot of us don't have time, and buying ingredients, individual ingredients, costs a lot more than buying the mixes, especially if you can get them on sale. So if you're watching your pennies, watch for sales on cake mixes and brownie mixes and grab you a few boxes, because you can just do tons of stuff with those and you don't need a whole lot of extra ingredients. The only thing other than the brownie mix that we need is 1/4 cup of oil. Any oil will work, you don't have to buy anything special. 2 eggs, some cherry pie filling, a can, a jar, whatever you can find. And an option is about 1 cup of milk chocolate chips. Now you do want to use milk chocolate chips. If you use a semi-sweet in this, they're going to be crunchy even after it's baked. And you kind of want the creamier milk chocolate chips for this. You could also add some nuts into it if you wanted to, pecans, walnuts, even chopped almonds, anything like that that you really like, you could add into this. So let's get started. Like I said, this is super simple. I start with my wet ingredients, so I'm going to go ahead and dump my oil and my eggs in my bowl here and move this out of the way. Now my pie filling happens to be in a jar. And I know lots of folks have trouble with jar lids, especially as we get older. There is no way I'm going to open that. But here's a quick tip for you. If you have a jar you can't open, these old style can openers that are used for, they have a bottle opener on one end, and then this end you use for like condensed milk or the canned baby formula when we had it. Take it and insert it under the lip of the lid on the jar. And then pry out, and you might have to do it twice. What you're doing is you're listening for the pop. And once you pop the seal, it comes right open with no strain, nothing special needed. Go ahead and beat my eggs up first. Now, I'm going to add half of my pie filling. And we're going to save half of it to go on top of our brownies. Okay, that's about half. And give that a little stir. And once you got the liquid stuff fairly well combined, I mean, you don't have to go crazy with it, go ahead and add in, oh gosh, I almost made a mess. Go ahead and add in your brownie mix. One of the tricks with making brownies, whether you're making them from scratch or you're making them from a mix, is you don't want to overmix your brownies. If you overmix them, the texture's not going to be right. You're not going to get that chewy brownie texture, and we want the chewy brownie texture with this. Okay, and I'm also going to add in half of my chocolate chips. Now, like I said, you don't have to do this, and I'm going to save half of them for on the top. Just kind of fold your brownie mix into your wet ingredients. And like I said, you don't want to overmix it. You definitely don't want to get out an electric mixer and take an electric mixer to brownie mix. You can use a whisk, but with the lumps of the cherries in there, it doesn't work real well. And if you're not a huge fan of cherries, you can use some other pie filling in this. Strawberry would be excellent. Even blueberry or blackberry or something like that would be good. I don't know that I would like this with apples. But you know, definitely the strawberry. This would be a really good Christmas dessert because of the cherry color and the chocolate. It would be really pretty at Christmas time. Perfect for Valentine's Day, which is coming up. It would be a good church dinner or potluck dessert, or even good for cookouts in the summertime. We're going to bake this in a 9x9. If you want to do a double batch, you need a 9 by 13, but use like a deep casserole dish because this is going to rise up some and you don't want it boiling over in your oven. All right, and that's kind of all there is to it. You just want to mix it until the cake mix is kind of absorbed into the wet ingredients and you don't have any big chunks of brownie mix left down in the bottom of your bowl. And you do want to put some oil or some grease or something in the bottom of your pan. And like I said, this is a 9 by 9 that I'm using. If you doubled it, you would want a big 9 by 13. And I did spray this pretty good. All right, now once you've got your batter in your pan, we're going to go ahead and drop the rest of this pie filling on the top, kind of in lumps all around it. And it's pretty much going to cover it, so you don't need to be too particular about this. Okay, once you get it, your cherries all in here, take a knife and kind of swirl it through your brownies back and forth a couple of times because you want to kind of get the chocolate and the cherries combined. You want that chocolate to bubble up through your pie filling, but don't mix it because remember we've already got some of the cherry pie filling in there. Just give it a little swirl and then add the rest of your chocolate chips. Just sprinkle them all over the top. And like I said, you don't have to do these. And that's kind of all there is to it. You want to put this in a preheated 350 degree oven. And because it is so thick, it's going to take anywhere from like 40 minutes to 50 minutes, depending on your oven. It could even take a few minutes longer than that. You do want to make sure you get it done, but you don't want to overbake it either and have your brownies be tough. So test it. Bounce test it, toothpick test it, whatever you need to do to make sure it's done. But you're looking at between 40 and 50 minutes of baking, and like I said, maybe even a few more minutes depending on your oven. 350 degrees. Cook it low and slow kind of. So let's put this in our oven and then we'll see what it looks like. If you're making these to take somewhere, you can make them in the little disposable pans and take them. That way you don't have to worry about getting your pan back. And they have these at the Dollar Tree in season with different colored lids on them and stuff. And sometimes you can even get them in different shapes. And these are a really good option for making and carrying to potlucks and church dinners and all that sort of stuff. So keep those in mind. You get 2 of them now for $1.25, which is pretty cheap. It's certainly cheaper than losing your favorite casserole dish. Since it's Valentine's Day, while we're waiting on our brownies to get done, I want to share Ephesians 5:28 with y'all. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. You know, that again goes both ways. We talked about another verse. Women, love your husbands as yourself. And it tells us in the Bible that men are to love their wives as Christ loved the church. And we're supposed to love one another as we love ourselves. It takes a lot of years of marriage to get to that point where you truly see yourself as one and not as two anymore. And I know that you know, you have those honeymoon years when it first starts and you hear the vows and you take the vows and you try to remember the vows. But it really does take a few years of living to get to that point where you feel like one person. And in those years, those early years leading up to the years where you feel like one person, sometimes it feels impossible. And it feels like you are absolutely sacrificing your whole self. Well, that's kind of what marriage is. And when you get to that point where you can sacrifice yourself to your marriage and be one, then you have a truly great marriage. You have the kind of marriage that God intended for you to have. And the love that you will feel, the love that you will get, and the love that you will receive is not, it can't be compared to anything else. And our relationship with Christ is like that as well. We have to get to that point in our relationship with Christ where we sacrifice ourselves for that relationship. And I know the world is all about self-love, but the Bible teaches us that in order to love ourselves, we have to love someone else. When we express that love for someone else, that is truly loving ourselves. It's not all about you. And I don't know any easier or better or more gentle way to put it. It should never be all about you, whether it's in your marriage or whether it's in your relationship with Christ. And this Valentine's Day, I hope that you understand what true love is, and I hope that you have it, whether it's in a loving, committed marriage or whether it's in a committed relationship with the Lord. There is truly nothing like experiencing true love. These brownies really are good for any occasion where you need a dessert. They're really easy to mix up, don't have to have a lot of ingredients, and they're easy to carry. Brownies are super easy to carry, especially if you do them in the disposable pans. You don't even have to worry about bringing your pan home. And you usually do leave them in the pan and carry them in the pan. They'd be great for all your Super Bowl parties you got going on this weekend, good for Christmas, church dinners, any kind of potluck, even to take in the summertime to a cookout where you needed to take a dessert, because the heat's not going to bother them if you have to sit them outside for a little while. But if you make them on Valentine's Day, and this only works on Valentine's Day, you can bake them in a square pan and put them in the oven, and when you take them out, they're in a heart-shaped pan. Just like that. Now, I'm just joking, of course. Lots of folks ask me where I get all of my pans and stuff, and they come, literally my kids give a lot of them to me. Some of them I've had for a long time. Some of them I find places. This was actually a pan from Samantha's wedding cake, and she's been married 15 years and I've still got the set. And the one that I mixed it in when I put it in the oven, that's still in the oven, Melinda bought those for me for Christmas about 5 or 6 years ago, and she found a brand new set of the Corningware or the Corningware in the box at a flea market for $10. It had never been used, and those things are selling for over $100 a set now. So a lot of the stuff Melinda finds at flea markets and yard sales, Goodwill, and I look all those places too, especially all the different dishes that I use, different plates. I look for things with patterns that would take interesting pictures that y'all might enjoy. So if you're looking for some mixed stuff for your dish collection, check out all those secondhand places. They're not very expensive, and you can certainly get a wide variety. Flea markets, estate sales, garage sales, Goodwills. Carm is a big one in Knoxville. I've gotten a lot of stuff at Carm. Just different places like that. Okay, you do want to let these set for at least 15 minutes before you try to cut them, because you want the chocolate to set and you want your cherry pie filling to set. Let them cool for about 15 minutes before you try to cut them and take them out of the pan, and then they should slice just like a regular brownie and come out. You can serve them with ice cream while they're still warm and maybe some chocolate syrup over top. I thought the heart shape, of course, was pretty for Valentine's Day. You could do some cream cheese frosting to go over it, because cream cheese just goes with everything. And I'll link that in the description or in an end card or something. But whatever occasion you're enjoying these brownies for, I hope it is joyous. And I want to thank you so much for joining us again in the Hillbilly Kitchen. If you have not already, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. And until next time, remember to put God first.